folks, let's have a look. Where are we? 1831. That's not too bad, is it? You may be able to tell I've got a bit of a cough. So, headphone warners, just beware. I might end up coughing, which might be a bit loud. But other than that, we're going to be alright. Wayne says, what do we say? I will have to pop off soon as my dinner is nearly ready, but I will come back as soon as possible. That's fantastic, Wayne. As always, feel free to drop in and out. My little counter says we have 3 people watching in the show already, which is fantastic. Don't forget to give a sound out. You are in Ipswich. Yes, I am. Yeah, it's been one of those days, to be fair. I could be anywhere. But, as always, it's the top of the show, so let me just give a really quick Patreon shout out to Reese and Wayne. Thank you very much, and as always, Tim as well. Without you, these shows wouldn't happen, so a nice shout out to you guys there. Thank you very much. And if you guys want to support the channel, don't forget to check out the Patreon page. The link is in the chat somewhere. I've already put it up there once or twice. It's also in the description below. You can help support the channel. And hopefully, that's what we're heading for at the minute, is to get a new computer for more stable streams. So, don't forget to do that. And also, pictures. They've been slowly updating. Gradually, we're getting more and more people. Is there something wrong with my mic? I'm watching that. That's not going up and down. There we go. Yes. Pictures have been slowly adding there. We got one from Chilling Viking there. And another one from Chilling Viking there as well. Don't forget to send in your pictures to Bases of Operations Facebook page, or send them in a direct message via Instagram. It would be fairly easy. You know, get yourself a little thing on my Facebook page or on my Instagram feed. Chris Alexander, welcome to the show. You can get your pictures shown on the stream. We'll just pop them up here and they cycle through. So the more there is, the less and less. I mean, at the minute there's only a few on there, so they tend to cycle around a couple of times while I'm doing my show intro. But as more and more start to appear, yes, sometimes you'll see your picture, sometimes you won't, but hopefully they'll cycle through all the time. So don't forget to send in your pictures there. And also, if you want to use the hashtag BofOPSLive on anything, I try and keep an eye on that hashtag so that you can get to see anything. And if it happens to do with Conquest, which will be coming back on Monday, don't forget to use the hashtag BofOPSConquest as well. So don't forget that. Right, and yes, brand new year, brand new project, which is fantastic. I'm really glad we managed to get good old Gabriel Seth finished last week. He came out quite nicely. I'll pop him somewhere safe at some point out of the way. But we got a brand new project on the go now, which will be, I'll open her up today, the Canoness Veridyan for the Sisters of Battle. I'm kind of hoping, you know, we already know that the what have we got here? Rafael Andre, yeah, I'm gonna butcher that if I try. So, Rafael, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Yes, I'm kind of hoping that the Sisters of Battle, when we already know are going to be released, hopefully soon in the new year, or it is the new year, but hopefully soon. Alright, ta-ra, Wayne, see you in a bit. Wargamer Viking, welcome to the show, thank you for joining me. So we already know the Sisters of Battle were going to be arriving at some point soon, hopefully soon. Hopefully we haven't got to wait until the end of the year. And I'm kind of guessing that they are going to get their own kill team rules, so I'm hoping that Canoness Veridyan may be usable in kill team, which is why I picked her up. Is also, we know that they're on the way soon, so thought, yeah, why not? Let's crack out. Let's start the new year with one of the biggest pieces of news that we know is going to be happening this year, is the Sisters of Battle. Don't forget, my patrons help me decide when it comes down to which model I'm actually going to be starting on a Thursday. But everybody can send in their suggestions or their wants as to what model should be the next model on the Thursday night show. So I'm going to start Canoness Veridyan today. She'll take, you know, 3, 4, 5 shows to do, and then I'll be moving on to the next one. You can suggest what you want to see next. The only stipulation is they're always characters. They're always individual models. The reason being is that when we eventually come up with a model that I'm not going to keep, I'm going to give it away. And it's easier to give away a named character than it would be some random model that, you know, quite frankly, it might look cool, but half the people don't really want because it's just something that they don't play with. So, characters, giving myself out. Wargamer Viking already mentioned a few months ago now that one of the Crimson Fist characters, Cortez, was it? There's an idea. I think that would probably end up being a kit bash more than it would be to purchase a model. But feel free, throw in suggestions what you want to see. What could we do? But for this week and for the next few weeks, we're going to be working on this Canoness Veridyan. And thank you very much, Wayne, for sharing on Facebook and Twitter. Yes, don't forget, share them out. Share me around. Share me around. I love being shared around. Sounded better in my head. But, yes, get people out there. We've already started the show. We've just started the show and we're up to 7 viewers, according to my ticker up there. According to my screen over there, 6. Which is fantastic news. It means that we're growing. It would usually take towards the end of the show before we get to see these kind of numbers. So I'm fantastic. This is this new year is starting off fantastic already. So I think that pretty much does all of my announcements. We've got people in the chat, so feel free to chat along. And I think it's time that we cracked open this model. And we got started on with the show proper, should we? So, like I said, if you haven't already noticed, my chest is feeling a little bit tender. So if you're listening away to on headphones, I will try and avoid coughing into the microphone. But if you're wearing headphones, just beware that I might end up coughing at some point. So let's open this up. And it's a fine cast model, which isn't ideal. Preferably I should have looked at that before I bought it. It's fine cast, and I didn't know this until a couple of hours ago. So I hope I've got enough super glue. I haven't cleaned her up yet, so I'm hoping that she'll glue together, otherwise this is going to be a particularly short episode. But yeah, so this is one of the, I'm surprised that this is fine cast, to be honest, because of you know, she's a new model, or copyright 2016, so I'm surprised. I thought that they were going to try and get rid of all of these resin models, but yeah, evidently not. So we're going to have a look at this. Now I've already decided how I'm going to do the base, which I'll get to shortly. But what I want to do is I want to have a look at this, like we did with Gabriel Seth. We need to work out whether I need to build this model in sub-assemblies, or whether we can build her and then get cracking on with the model, with the painting next week. So we're having a look here. I'm looking at the model instructions. Now we have this tabard that's affixed to her legs, which we can have a look here. The tabard that's affixed to her legs, I can't take that off, and then she has another one coming down the back here, which will cover that up, which will make painting that a little bit difficult, so we'll probably leave that one off. Backpacks and shoulder pads tend to be okay. But we'll have a look to see if we can fit that back skirt bit underneath the backpack as we have a look when we start clipping things off. The sword arm should be not a problem. Neither should her gun arm. We have a skull here that heads around the back. We need to have a look at that while we're putting the bits together, because they are tiny. The skull bit is in there. Skull bit's down there. That is a tiny piece. and then all of the basing can be done. That basing won't be a problem. So actually, really, the only thing that does seem to be a problem is this back skirt thing. So we'll have a look at that at some point. So with that being said, let's have a look at the model. Now, like I said, I haven't cleaned this, which is not ideal. We'll have a feel to see how badly it feels. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to glue this together. I might be able to cheat a little bit and just rough up the contact areas so that I don't have to worry. With resin, most of the time resin has a release agent on it, which will mean that glue and paint won't stick to it, which it feels, yep, I think there is some release agent on here, but I'm hoping that if I scratch at the contact areas, I'll actually be able to remove the top layer of resin to avoid having to clean it before I glue it together. But I will need to clean the model. I'll throw it into an ultrasonic cleaner with some soap and get the old toothbrush out to clean it up before painting next week. So having a look, we're just checking to make sure that I don't have any terribly bad miscast. Otherwise this episode is going to be very short, because I'll have to contact GW and say, yeah, that's no good, I can't use it. The sword looks to be in reasonable, yeah, it's a little bit wonky, but that's fine cast, well, resin swords for you. Hello Tim, welcome to the show. We're just checking over this very small model. I didn't really consider just how tiny a sister's models would be, and that is very small. But yeah, she definitely does have some release agent on her, so we are going to have to be careful how we glue this together. And other than that, she looks like she's in pretty good condition. So let's get cracking on with this. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Sam Riviera, thank you for joining us. Just watched that APS dude, yeah, Luke's APS video, and he talked about your Wargamer Viking. Yes, he said that Wargamer Viking definitely looks like a metalhead. Yep, we saw that. I saw that too. Just before I came on, actually, just before I set everything up, I watched that video. Okie dokie. Right, let's make sure we got light in the right places. And let's start clipping this out of the frame. Lots of run on with resin is everywhere. Where are you still connected? There we go. So where is your sister, Will? This is my sister. It's the only sister. Right. She's on the sprue, yeah. Yeah, I'm just clipping her off now. I can't actually, because I'm not actually watching the proper chat, I'm watching my chat bar, I can't actually see what emojis you put on there. I can't see them. But yes, she's on the sprue. We're just going to start cleaning her up now. Now she does have release agent on her. Unfortunately, I didn't get around to cleaning her before the show. Normally with a resin model, I would put the whole thing into my ultrasonic cleaner, stick some soap in there, turn it on for a few cycles, and then get the old toothbrush out and give it a clean while it's all on the sprue, and that cleans it up nicely without the need for worrying about the release agent. Unfortunately, I didn't get around to doing it, so in the process of getting this model, well, getting the show done, I am going to spend the show not only cleaning it up, but also just scraping away like the top layer of all of the contact points. I'm not going to worry too much about larger areas like the tabard at the front, because I will clean her up between this show and next week. As always, I'll have her primed, ready to paint next week. But I will scrape off at the contact points this week so that we can get her clean, get her built as far as we can. Do you really need an ultrasonic cleaner? No, you don't. You don't need one. It's because I have so much to be getting on with. An ultrasonic cleaner just makes it a little bit easier and quicker. I can, for argument's sake, I can put a model into wash in an ultrasonic cleaner while I am, you know, painting something completely unrelated. It just allows me to multitask. That's all it is. No, just some tepid water and some soap is all you need, and a bit of a toothbrush, bit of an old toothbrush to clean your models. An ultrasonic cleaner is purely a luxury. And I didn't realise my voice was going to be quite as rough as it is tonight. And it's still the holidays, so my kids have been running ragged, so it's not helping. So we're just cleaning off all of the gates and all of the mould lines and so on this model. She's doing well. The only bubble I've seen so far is just at the bottom of the cloak here. We might see about sticking in a little bit of liquid green stuff, but we'll see how that goes in a bit. Let's get rid of that gate there. There we are. Yeah, there's a few bubbles on her leg here. The unfortunate thing is you look at the box art. She's wearing very glossy trousers, very smooth trousers. So we are going to have to get in there and smooth them off. I'll tell you what, let me just mute the microphone just for a second. There we go. When I can feel them coming, I'll mute the microphone so I don't deafen all of you headphone users. It's not very often, actually. I do realise I'm going around the model cleaning off mould lines, and I must admit, you don't tend. don't tend to see mould lines on resin models. So this is confusing me a little bit. Mould lines on plastic are all the time. I mean, you know, all the time. There's also a nub there. I don't know if that's. Let's have a look at the box art. Where did I put the box? Over here. There's a nub there. I think I need to get rid of that. Just check that the doesn't have anything corresponding on the sword arm. No, that looks like that needs to come off. It's a bit of a. I don't know if you can see on the camera very well. There's just a little bit there that needs to get shaved off. As always, I would advise you, if you're working with resin, to put a mask on. Someone did post on my Instagram feed earlier today that this model kind of looks like Lady Gaga. I kind of see it. And there we go. Right, so that's nice and smooth. There we go. Right. So before we go much further, where did I put my liquid green stuff? Which, to be fair, isn't particularly liquidy. So I'm not sure whether this is what liquid green stuff should look like, but it's more like paste. It's not very smooth. In fact, it almost feels like this is mixed up green stuff. I'm sure there's supposed to be a bit more of a liquid feel to this stuff. I'm just going to throw that down in there and find myself my little silicone paintbrushes. I'm going to see if I can get that down into there, and then once that's dry I can then file that back. So just a few bubbles that I'm not too happy about on the model itself. Throw down in on the bottom of her leg here as well. Just a couple of bubbles. The rest of the model seems reasonably good, apart from these here. I mean, these are on the bottom of her legs, so you're really not going to notice them, but as with all these Thursday night shows, I do want these models to kind of be the best of my painting, as opposed to you know, cutting the corners where, or just trying to get some paint on the model as quick as possible. Like my other videos are all about how to get a decent model with as little effort as possible. With these Thursday night shows, I like to put in the effort. Reese suggested some resin tanks in the very helpful Patreon's chat, but I don't know. What I see is that it could be a lot of work. Resin can be a lot of work. Forge World themselves do say that, you know, the resin is for advanced modelers. Having said that, in my opinion, the resin does depend on whether you've got the time to spend on it. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Forge World. I am interested in getting all of their character series. In fact, at some point in the future, I'm sure that the Thursday night show will be dominated by Forge World characters. I do plan on going through at some point all of the Primarchs, and so yeah, I mean, some of the models are fantastic. As a whole, I'm not a particular Forge World fan. Reese, on the other hand, is the queen of painting that sort of stuff, and she does some fantastic work on them. I think it just depends on how you feel about them, to be honest. You know, do you like them or not? Have you got the time to spend on them? Is pretty much how I feel about Forge World models. Right, let's get rid of the green stuff, bits and pieces I've got. I'm sure that the my green stuff isn't supposed to be as thick and as crumbly as that. I might get myself a new one and just compare them, see what they're like. Okie dokie. So we've got some green stuff in there. We've filled those bubbles in. We filled the bubble on the bottom. Now we need to wait for that green stuff to dry before I can really kind of scrape that away and file it down. Moving on, like we said, we need to avoid. I think I need to avoid the back piece here. That fits on there, and I think it would make painting that difficult. So we're going to leave that back bit. So we do need to pick up the shoulder pads. Now the one with the sisters goes on this side, as we're looking at the back of her. So we're going to clip this off, clean it up, and then we're going to try and scrape at the contact points so that the glue will stick. Otherwise, like I said, again, it's going to be a very short episode. because I won't be able to glue when it's still wet. Right, whoops. That's how we're doing on this. These are tiny. I mean, my hands are really struggling to hold on to these bits. It's very, very small. Okay. So this is going to come in on there. And it's going to be connected right into there. Okay. So we scrape at this. The reason I'm scraping is I'm hopefully taking off the top surface of the resin so that the release agent is basically scraped away with the knife, so that hopefully I can avoid cleaning those particular areas. But like I said, I will have to clean it to paint it. So, and then what we need to do as well is scrape off this bit here, which is where it connects to the model. Scrape down in there as well. Now, because I didn't realise that this was a resin model up until a few hours ago, I hope I've got enough super glue. So I'm just going to pop this on here. And pop that on there. And that all fits nicely in place. It's a bit disconcerting actually. Usually one puts the shoulder pads on after you've put arms on, but not for this model apparently. So there we go. And then moving on. So lots to chat, I may as well. Who's looking forward to the Sisters release? I mean, are we all looking forward to them? I mean, I know I am. I'm hoping for another kill team. I am definitely hook, line and sinker for that. But anybody looking forward to the Plastic Sisters because they want to start a 40k army? Do you already have Sisters models and you're looking to revamp your collection? What do people think? Or is it just going to be a case of meh? There'll be a bit of a hype for a couple of weeks until the next thing comes along. Still scraping away at those contact points. And then pop on the old glue. Welcome back, Wayne. I had the original Sister Squad many moons ago. Would be nice to see what they come up with now. I do enjoy seeing the new models. I've had this conversation a few times with a couple of people. I don't like the old models. I'm not a... I started in this hobby just about 3 years ago. And so I'm not particularly what's the word? What's the word? Nostalgic about old models. In fact, I actually don't like old models. I feel very privileged seeing the plastic models that we have these days. So I am interested in seeing what the new models would look like as opposed to the old ones. The old ones do look very dated, and I don't really care much for them. So I am looking forward to them. And like I said, I'm hoping for a cool looking kill team. That would be good. No doubt. I mean, they must, if GW are going to carry on supporting kill team, they'll probably come out with some kill team rules reasonably quickly. Once the sisters get released. If I think the rumor mill says that they're going to be towards the end of the month. I think that was what the rumor I heard was. So hopefully we won't have to wait too long. In which case I'll be just about halfway through painting this when they come out, which would be cool. That'll be, for once in this channel's history, I'll actually be relevant and up to date. Still lots of mold lines on this resin model though. I'm not used to seeing this many mold lines on a resin model. Often the runoffs and the gates and stuff, yeah, you have to clean those up. I'm not used to seeing this many mold lines. That is a bit bizarre. There we go. Right. This could be interesting, trying to clean this up to glue it. I might have to change the blade. That might help. This blade's getting a bit dull. That's if I remember where I put my blades. Yeah, let's have a look. Without tearing the studio apart looking for them. If I can find my fresh blades. Let's have a look. So is anybody else looking forward to new sisters, or is it just me and Chris? Here are my blades. There we go, right. The Sisters of Battle look really cool. I just started collecting in July. I brought an Admech Gene Stealer Cult starter kit. Then got some Space Marines, Tyrannid, Plague Marines, and Tau Fire Warriors. Wow. To be honest, I started off with Space Marines, Blood Angels. That was it. It was the only thing I was ever going to collect. Got put off of 40k a couple of times, but since the release of Kill Team, and I bought the Kill Team starter box, I then made my Space Marine Kill Team. I have the Gene Stealer Cult Kill Team and the Admech Kill Team. Then Conquest came out and I started a Death Guard Kill Team. And then I went out and bought a Tyrannid Kill Team. So yeah, lots of kill teams going on. As you get more into the game hobby, you'd like to see more models. Try 40k again. Well, no. To be honest with you, I've said it before. Chapter approved has put me off kill team, off for 40k. To be honest. Oh, I'm gonna cough again. No, I don't want to keep buying a book every year to keep up with the rules. Yeah, but it was a downloadable free PDF. It might be different, with only, you know, optional stuff in there about, you know, optional missions and things. But you know, when you have to pay for new rules every year, it's not really I'm not really that interested in it. You'll convert me back, maybe in a long time. Maybe when I've finished doing all of the kill teams, I might then bring my attention back. Perhaps, maybe at the end of Conquest, you know, when I've finished collecting, you know, a Death Guard army, and eventually, at some point, you know, for the channel at least, I'll probably pick up a Mortarian at some point as well. Over time, I might start building up, you know, I might consider playing with Death Guard. But for now, I think kill teams is the thing for me. Definitely. Alright, so I'm hoping I've cleared off enough of the release agent for this to stick. So we'll just have to see what happens. Seems to be alright. When I clean her off, we'll have to see what happens after I've done that. And now we're going to start on with the sword. Do you have to buy the book? Which book is that? The chapter approved book? Well, I mean, I borrowed Reese's to get all of my point changes in it. But it's not something, you know, it definitely puts you out of date if you don't buy the book. There's some drastic changes in the so for argument's sake, you know, take this for argument's sake. If I go out and buy the Death Guard Codex now, the Death Guard Codex is now out of date, especially even if it's just points, you know, even if it's just the point values. Now points change over time, but which is, yeah, it always has done. But now, if you don't know somebody who you can use the chapter approved book, you have to go out and buy chapter approved to get your up-to-date point values for a codex that is now currently out of date. It's not ideal. Yeah, Battlescribe has already been updated with the new points. Yeah, it has done, yeah. I don't know what else is in that book, to be honest. Reese brought it round and I saw the points changes and changed them. I wrote them in my Blood Angel Codex. But I don't know what else is in that book. But it's a myriad of other things. I mean, to be fair, I'd already stopped playing before. I think I stopped playing shortly after Chapter Approved 2017 came out. So there's a myriad of reasons why I don't play. Some of them I don't even know what they are. I just shifted away from it. And perhaps in the future I'll come back to 40k, but for now, Kill Team is where my heart lies. Oops. And if you're wondering what keeps happening to the sound, if anybody hasn't already heard, I'm coughing like crazy. So every time I feel it coming, I mute the sound so that anybody listening along with headphones are not going to get deafened. Just scraping away at this ball joint. Yours too. You'll have to remind me because I'm about 30 seconds out of date. I've forgotten why I mentioned. Why yours too? What? Of course, with the delay, I can often move on from a topic and then not realise what people are actually referring back to. Is it you've written in your codex? Is that what you're saying? I do like how this model comes together. She just kind of slots into place. There's not really any ability to go wrong with this. Just kind of move it and she'll slot into place. You go, yep, that's located. That's exactly how that's supposed to go. Brilliant. Oh, your heart lies with Kill Team. Yeah, I do enjoy Kill Team. I really do enjoy it. And the gameplay itself, I find is much more gamer friendly than 40k. Battlescribe been now updated with new points costs. Yeah, it has. Yeah, I mean Battlescribe tends to get updated pretty quickly, even with new rules. Actually, to be fair, or certainly unit rules. But I mean, to be fair, I think I give Chapter Approved a bit of a rough ride, purely just because it's the easiest way for me to explain why I don't play 40k anymore. Excuse me. It's a way for me to just say, yeah, I don't play 40k anymore because I don't want to buy a book every year. I think there are other reasons why I don't play 40k, some of which I don't even know what they are. It's just a feeling. But you know, like I said, I stopped playing 40k shortly after Chapter Approved 2017. So it's basically been over a year. It's been about a year now since I stopped playing. And Chapter Approved isn't the only reason why I stopped. And yeah, if I wanted to stay up to date, there are ways of staying up to date without paying for it, but I think I gave, you know, I was getting a bit sick of 40k at the end of 7th edition. And I think, you know, 8th edition came out, there was a lot of people screaming and shouting about it, and I thought, no, you know what, I'll give it a go. And so I did. I gave it a fair shake, you know. I gave it a try. I didn't throw any tantrums about it. I just, you know, I read through the rulebook, I gave it a go. And I just don't think it's I don't think it's as good as what it was promised to be. And I think I just got let down by it. And I'd already been a bit let down by 40k in 7th edition. And I just don't think 8th edition really answered all of those problems that I had with it. But a lot of those answers do seem to have been answered in Kill Team, which is why I'm so passionate about it. which way around does this go? This goes behind her leg. Well, this is interesting. Alright, let's have a look. That is not as tight fitting as the rest of her body parts. That's interesting. Let's push that into there. Right, is that there? Something? Nope, that's nothing like. See, this is why I was confused when they put the shoulder pads on first. Doesn't seem to want to sit where it's supposed to sit. And I can't really move it around with the shoulder pads in the way. And it could also be that she's not sticking together because of the release agent, but the rest of it seems to have gone together fine. I think that's about got it there. Just about. Alright, there we go. So then we have the, oh man, the tiny skull. Look at this. That is tiny. Tiny. Right. That reminds me. No, it doesn't remind me. I just remembered. I have a new video coming soon. It'll be at the end of the month. Now, my patrons already have been told about it on the Patreon page. But also mention it here. I'm planning on, with this new year, I'm planning on doing a new video once a month. A Q&A studio / hobby update video. So what I want to do is during the months, every month, I would love for people to send me questions about what they would like to ask, what they would like answering. And there can be pretty much a question about anything you want, really. I will be obviously vetting the questions. I'm not just going to blindly just read out questions willy-nilly, but yeah, if you've got any questions or things you want to ask, throw down some suggestions. Don't do them in the chat here, because they'll get lost. But you can send your questions onto pretty much any of the formats that I'm on. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Send questions. My patrons will get their questions answered first. And then if I have time in the video, which I'll try and aim to be about 25 minutes long, I'll then go through any other questions that have come in. So feel free to have that in the back of your mind. Questions for this month will need to be done a week before the 25th. I think that is the 18th. On the 18th I'll go around and I'll pick up all of the suggestions that I've had, compile them over the week, and make a video. So keep an eye out for that. This is tiny. This is really, really small. I'm really trying to get this into place here. That is a tiny bit of kit that she's got going on there. I think that's connected there. And then we do her basing. I'll do her base in just a minute. Let me turn off the mic for a second because I need to cough and get some drink. There we go. Ah, right. Okie dokie. So, the base. She got a pile of skulls, or a pile of bones to go onto her foot, which is interesting. And she has these couple of bones that go randomly around the back, so that's fine. They're just random bones. So let's grab these ones first. Bit of a lump going on there. This worries me a bit. Big, large, flat pieces of resin. I always end up slicing my fingers open with these. I'm trying to be careful. Resin has this nasty habit of biting at your blade, and then all of a sudden just letting go. So I try and keep my fingers away. There we go. Right. Flatten that down. I'm scraping along the bottom there. It's so bowed around the edges that my blade doesn't actually touch the center of the center of this mound here. Just scraping away. Like I said, I keep scraping away at this, trying to get rid of all of the release agent. File it, save the fingers. I would do, but live life dangerously. And I don't have a I haven't got a mask, so I like to kind of make all the shavings as chunky as possible. Otherwise, if I start filing it, the bits are microscopic. I'll get myself into a world of trouble with that. Need to hop off and get back to work. Great videos. We'll be tuning in again. Alright, well, thank you for joining me anyway, Sam. And I'll see you again next time. Now, where does this go? Into that tiny little... What? That gets into that tiny little thing there. That's where it gets glued to. Well, it's like the tiniest connection point possible. Alright, so let's drop on a bit of glue there and around there as well. Let's grab the base and pop her there. We don't necessarily need to worry too much about her having a decent connection. I don't know if you can see on the camera that it doesn't quite connect to the base there, but I'll figure that out in just a second. The more I see a fail cast, the more I'm put off by it. There's nothing good about it. To be honest with it, it's a nice model, but quite frankly, you know, doing it in plastic would I prefer plastic models. You know, they look better, cleaner details, and less hard work. You know, that's how I see it. I don't see the point of resin at all, to be honest with you. Reese was saying about, I was talking to Reese earlier, she said it's cheaper. It's a cheaper product, which may be the case, especially if they don't make quite so many of these individual characters, due to, you know, the demand for them is lower than there would be for a unit, as it were. But you know, I don't see the benefit of resin as a material. Like I've said, I'm not a fan of Forge Worlds. I would prefer to see everything that Forge World do done in plastic, really. Yeah. I don't like resin. I don't like resin as a whole, not just Failcast. Just resin in general. A lovely model, but material to choose to make it. Plastic or white metal. Even metal I don't agree with. I don't like metal either. Plastic in general I think is just a much nicer product, you know, material to work with. I think plastic is the best material to work with because it's easier, you can cut it easily, you can change it easily, you can mess around with it, and you know, and be done with it. Right, I'm going to move those skulls, because one thing I did forget is I haven't done the back piece, the bit of the back skirt, as it were. I'm going to put those skulls over here. Now hopefully, now I did say at the top of the episode that the skirt at the back I think I'm going to leave off and paint separately, and not drill through it like I did with Gabriel Seth's backpack. I'm hoping that will just nicely get stuck into there when I need to, with any luck. I think I will be able to do that. So I'm going to clean that up. And then once this is done, we'll get cracking on with doing the basing material. So we did some cork with Gabriel Seth, and this time I'm going to use my favourite basing material, or at least some of the cheapest stuff I know of. Good old kitty litter. Right, I love this stuff. Good old kitty litter, super cheap. It's a fantastic material to work with. There are lots of different, you can see there's lots of different grades to it. Some big stuff and there's some really fine stuff in there. What I want to do actually, if I turn this upside down and give it a shake, see there's even powder at the bottom of this. Give it a shake. Because for this model, because she's so small, I do, and because of the areas around her, I do want to try and get as much of the smaller material to the top as I can. Then flip that back there. and then without making dust and hitting the camera or anything like that, hopefully. Oh, come on, get off. There we go. And at the top there we've got lots of the smaller bits there. So gonna grab myself some PVA glue, and I'll use the top of the lid for this. Let's see if I can get all of this in shot so you can see what's gonna go down. So grab some PVA onto the pot there. There we go. Get myself an old brush, but a fairly small one as well, actually. So an old small brush. There we go, that'll do. Right, ho. Get the old PVA down, and then spread PVA all over the base, just making sure I get it right up to and possibly including the parts of material that are already part of the base here. Bridge any of those gaps that we've got going on. Going around the outside here, we can always clean that up once it's all dry. Make sure I get between those. Try not to get any of the PVA on top of the model. Obviously, you know, bits will stick. You know, I'll get dirt stuck to the top of the skulls and all that sort of stuff. And definitely don't make sure you don't get any on the actual model, that, you know, the model itself, the model proper. So there's some of that all the way around here. And making sure that we've got a nice coating right the way around. And then dip it in, just like that, and bury it. Move it around. Get some of these smaller bits from over here. Just drag her through the drag her through the mud. There we go. And then tap it off. As you know well, I'm on the lookout for basing material to base my new armies, and your cat litter is a great idea. One question though, what colours are you painting the litter? You could go one of two ways. You could paint it grey for urban rubble, pretty much the way it looks already, with greys and, you know, greens. And I say greens as in, you know, just like a moss type covering slightly, or paint it brown as severely churned up, you know, ploughed earth kind of colours. Greys and browns mostly. This will probably be done in grey, so, you know, lots of stone, due to the fact that the bone is more of a brown kind of colour. Even though, you know, it's a pale white, kind of off-white colour, but it's closer to brown. So I'll probably do the gravel. This will be in gravel, so it'll be greys. Excuse me. That we'll finish her off with. Now, obviously, like I said, this actually needs washing. I'd forgotten that I actually still need to wash the model, so I won't be using my ultrasonic cleaner this time. Actually, I'll be using toothbrush. But what I will need to do is off camera. She's pretty much done, actually, by the way. There's a bit of an anticlimax there. She's finished, ready to be ready to paint. So let me just turn the camera around and we'll carry on talking. There we go, like that. Brown sounds good. Odd patch of flock or static grass. That sounds perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're using, if you're on like 32mm bases and you're only using little things, painting them in brown so you've got really clumped earth, like, you know, like a bomb's gone off and it's just thrown up chunks of earth, then I would suggest using like clump material, not clumps as in clump foliage, but the tufts. That's what I'm on about. So you glue on a few tufts. If you're doing a base of a, for argument's sake, one of these, and you're basing the material to a large area like that, then yeah, a little bit of static grass would probably work quite well. Yeah, or some flock, depending on how you want to use it. Yeah, that sounds perfect. She needs to be washed between the shows, so yeah, like I said, she's now finished. During the show, between the shows, I'm going to clean her up, prime her. But the other thing that you do need to do, Wayne, if you want to use kitty litter, is once that PVA glue is dried and you've stuck your kitty litter to the base, you then need to water down some PVA glue and then just dribble that over the base as well, just to lock it into place before painting over the top. In fact, I'll be doing that before priming. So it's PVA glue, put the kitty litter down, and then I'll water down some PVA glue to lock it into place. Then I'll prime the whole model. That's where my thinking was going. Once again, will you help me out? Fantastic. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. This one will probably be done on more of a urban rubble. So she'll be done. She'll be based in Mechanica Standard Grey and then dry brushed up through the greys, with a little bit of brown possibly in there just to break it up a little bit. Seal it in, yeah. You sort of guess you might need to do that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're used to flocking, you probably already knew. You know, if you were going to flock on top of, so you know, you'd flock. Yeah, I mean, if you're flocking on top of the kitty litter, the thing is you'll be gluing the kitty litter down and then seal it in place. Then you'll be priming and painting it, then flocking on top of that, and then sealing in your flock. So I mean, if you do flock, you probably already know to seal it into place. So it'll get a few times to do that, but you know, there we go. All right, so that's not a bad episode today. We've got her done, so don't forget to keep an eye out on Instagram to see that. Been flocking for 25 years. God, oh, for flock's sake, yeah, absolutely. Oh dear, all you flockers out there watching my videos, you never see me flocking on these videos, I'll tell you that. Alright, maybe the odd static grass occasionally, although actually I do need to pick up myself a static grass applicator, but they're expensive. Alright, so yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, we'll get her primed up in the during the week. She's looking quite good. Keep an eye out on the Instagram, because you'll get to see a little picture of her popping up. So you get to see a decent picture of her rather than the slightly blurry or slightly too far away image of her on there as it is now. So keep an eye out on the Instagram to see that. A what? A static grass applicator? Yeah, it's where it's where you make all your static grass stand up. I mean, usually I just glue it down wet and then wait until it's half dry and then blow it. Kind of stands up. There is an applicator, yeah. It's basically it just runs an electric current through a piece of wire usually, and it creates a static field where the static grass will stand up on end. It's very posh, but you know, I mean, it's expensive as well. But I'll probably, once I get around to buying one, I'll probably do a bunch of videos with them. But on the whole, I tend to just use, wait for it to half dry and then just blow on it. use a bit of a brush and it'll just rough it up a bit. But yeah, that's how I do that. I do need to clean this brush though before that does dry. So yeah, I'll pop a picture up of her up on Instagram, so you guys can get to see her all in glory. Don't forget to send in your pictures if you want to see some pictures up on here. Like I said, at the minute they pretty much cycle through and you get to see all of them, and in the future they might start getting a little bit further and further apart, so you tend to see the usual suspects up there at the moment. We got a lot from Tim, a lot from Wayne, a few from Reese, and a few from Audio Control or Mark. And I believe, is it Chris? Is that yours in there as well? What's your Instagram handle? I've forgotten what it is now. I think it'll pop up in a few, been popping up. You show me a few pictures. Or was it Sam? It might have been Sam's. But yeah, feel free to pop on those. Don't forget to use hashtags if you want me to keep an eye on your stuff. That one, Nuts Paints, that's the one. Yeah, use the hashtag BFOPS Live. Don't forget, I will be back. You just noticed your Sons of Medusa up there. Is that the green one? Is that your Nuts one? Is that Nuts Paint? Is that you? Don't forget, I am going to be back on Monday with a Conquest show. I haven't seen a Conquest show for a while now, have we? It's been a long time waiting. Wayne needs to do some more painting. Absolutely. Yeah, so I will be live on Monday, so don't forget to check in on then as well. Yeah, so it is you, Chris. Excellent. Well, don't forget, if you want to carry on popping in, you know, throw up some suggestions about what you want to see. Post it up on there. That's what it's there for. And don't forget, if you want to help support the stream, check out the Patreon link, just from as little as $1 a month. Don't forget to throw up some suggestions, some possible questions for my video at the end of the month. They'll be at the end of the month every month. Don't pop them in the chat here because that will disappear when I close everything down. But send them on to Facebook, onto Instagram. In fact, you can find all of my links if I just pop them in here now. You'll find them popping up in the chat now, which is really annoying for everybody who wants to actually call. Yep, it's called Christmas and New Year and having a Lego explosion in my house Boxing Day. Yeah. Excuse me, hang on a second, let me just... There we go, don't want to deafen you all. So, we don't have dollars in Scotland. No, most of it don't. Yeah, no. It's, unfortunately, Patreon only works in dollars, unfortunately, rather than a proper pound. So, unfortunately, I get charged every time I get paid, so that I can convert it into pounds. But yes, so don't forget, feel free to have a look at all of those links that I've just popped in the chat. You can send your pictures and questions onto Facebook or Instagram, or you find me on Twitter. That's the one I was looking for. I find Twitter difficult to work with, but I'm getting there. All right. So, with all of that being said, thank you to Wayne and Chris. Thank you very much for being here. Sam, Tim. Thank you all for joining me, and Wargaming Viking, thank you very much. I do try and remember everybody that's been in the show today, so thank you very much for joining me on this one. I look forward to seeing you all again. I'll be back, like I said, on Monday for a Conquest show, and yeah, next week I'll be back to get this last painted. Alright, so thank you all for joining me today. I'll catch you in the next one. Alright guys, ta-ra.